Alright. We won in overtime today. Finally. Let's go, Vikings. Alright. Here are the stats for the Vikings. Kirk Cousins had 460 yards, 34 carrying and 54 attempts, and 4 touchdowns and 2 interceptions. And Ryan Wright had 1 attempt. Rushing. Dalvin Cook had 17 carrying yards and 95 yards. CJ Ham had 2 carrying and 1 yards and 1 touchdown. Alexander Madison had 2 carrying and 1 yard. Kirk Cousins had 2 carrying. Jalen Reagor had 1 carrying and -5 yards. Receiving. KJ Osborne had 10 receiving and 157 yards and 1 touchdown. Justin Jefferson had 12 receiving and 123 yards and 1 touchdown. Dalvin Cook had 4 receiving and 95 yards and 1 touchdown. Adam Thielen had 3 receiving and 41 yards and 1 touchdown. TJ Hawkinson had 3 receiving and 33 yards. Johnny Mund had 1 receiving and 7 yards. CJ Ham had 1 receiving and 4 yards. Jalen Naylor had 0 receiving and 0 yards. Jalen Reagor had 0 receiving and 0 yards. The defense. Eric Hendricks had 7 tackles and 5 assists. Chandon Sullivan had 5 tackles and 1 assist. Harrison Phillips had 4 tackles and 6 yards. And 6 assists, I meant. Brian Ozama, too, had 4 tackles and 4 assists. And Cameron Bynum had 4 tackles and 3 assists. Zadarius Smith had 4 tackles and 1 assist. Harrison Smith had 4 tackles and 0 yards. Jordan Hicks had 3 tackles and 4 assists. Kyrus Tonga had 3 tackles and 3 assists. Patrick Peterson had 3 tackles and 1 assist. Danielle Hunter had 2 tackles and 3 assists. Alright, excuse me. Duke Shelley had 2 tackles and 1 assist. Dalvin Tomlinson had 1 tackle and 3 assists. Chris Boyd had 1 tackle. DJ Wonnum had 1 tackle and 2 assists. Troy Dye had 0 tackles and 0 assists. James Lynch had 0 tackles and 2 assists. CJ Ham had 0 tackles and 0 assists. Adam Thielen had 0 tackles and 0 assists. Greg Joseph had 0 tackles and 0 assists. Luigi Villain had, I think that's how you pronounce it, had 0 tackles and 0 assists. Nancy Yamatamu had, I think you pronounce it, had 0 tackles and 1 assist. Alright. Kick returns. Feeney Nwangu had 6 returns and 159 yards. The punt returns. Jalen Reagor had 3 returns and 13 yards. Greg Joseph only made 1 field goal. And Ryan Wright had 231 yards. Alright. Yep. Here's the stats for the Colts. Matt Ryan had 1 touchdown and 182 yards. Zach Moss had 81 yards and 24 carrying attempts. Deion Jackson had 13 carrying and 55 yards. Michael Pittman Jr. had 2 carrying and 30 yards. Ashton Dulin had 1 carrying and 5 yards. Matt Ryan had 3 carrying and 0 yards. Alright, the receiving. Michael Pittman Jr. had 10 receiving and 60 yards. Jelani Woods had 1 receiving and 36 yards. Kylan Granson had 2 receiving and 34 yards, Ashton Dulin had 2 receiving and 25 yards. Paris Campbell had 2 receiving and 13 yards. Jonathan Taylor had 1 receiving and 13 yards. Deion Jackson had 1 receiving and 1 yard. Mo Ali Cox had 0 receiving and 0 yards. Zach Moss had 0 receiving and 0 yards. Alec Pierce had 0 receiving and 0 yards. Alright, the defense for the Colts. Bobby Orek, I think that's how you pronounce it, had 6 tackles and 6 assists. Zari Franklin had 6 tackles and 6 assists. Stephon Gilmore had 6 tackles and 1 assist. Quinny Pay, I think that's how you pronounce it, had 5 tackles and 0 assists. Deo Adejingbo had, I think that's how you pronounce it again, had 4 tackles and 1 assist. Ronnie McLeod had 3 tackles and 3 assists. Isaiah Rogers had 3 tackles and 3 assists. Julian Blackman had 2 tackles and 2 assists. DeForest Buckner had 2 tackles and 1 assist. Viadi Oidingbo had, I think that's how you pronounce it, had 2 tackles and 0 assists. Yannick Ngakoue had 2 tackles and 0 assists. Dallas Flowers had 2 tackles and 0 assists. Rodney Thomas had 1 tackle and 3 assists. EJ Speed had 1 tackle and 0 assists. And Rodney Thomas had 1 touchdown. Grover Stewart had 1 tackle and 2 assists. Nick Cross had 1 tackle and 0 assists. Grant Stewart had 0 tackles and 0 assists. Horace Ryan had 0 tackles and 0 assists. Matt Hack had 0 tackles and 0 assists. Jojo Doman had 0 tackles and 0 assists. Brian Cowart had 0 tackles and 1 assist. Oh. Alright, kick returns for the Colts. Dallas Flowers had 175 yards. And the punt returns, Dallas Flowers had 0 yards. And the kicking for the Colts, Chase McLaughlin had made 5 field goals. And the punting for the Colts, Matt Hack had 305 yards. Wow. Alright. Here's the team stats. Colts had 341 total yards, and the Vikings had 518 total yards. And the passing yards for the Colts had 170 passing yards, and the Vikings only had 426 passing yards. And the Colts had 171 rushing yards, and the Vikings only had 92 rushing yards. And the Colts had 4.3 yards per play, and the Vikings only had 6.0 yards per play. Wow. We did good. In the first half, the Vikings were down 33-0. Then in the second half, then overtime, we did really good, Vikings. The largest comeback in NFL history.